So I am sitting in the down low right now with Karen Williams, who on her business card, her title is controller. But I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself to you and what exactly that title is among many other titles that she actually has.
Well, thank you, and it's very nice to be here. Controller is, in the finance world, it means the controller of finances. But in our world, it's a kind of a joke between my partner and I because I'm very controlling, and I like to orchestrate a lot of the different moving parts of our business. And so to that end, what I also do is I do payroll. I do some of the, not hiring necessarily, but the firing, because we let our managers do that, empower them. I deal with all the governmental agencies, so OSHA for occupational safety standards, the taxes, the government, and whatnot. And then on the other side, I also have a full-time job of doing booking of the bands and negotiating the contracts and providing the hospitality come the night of the show and the entire production. So it's very schizophrenic. I do morning shifts and I do night shifts until like 3 a.m. sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like a long day, a lot of work.
It is, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, good, good. How important do you think it is to have fun in what you're doing?
Oh, you've got to enjoy what you do, because life will throw you so many things that you can't control. As best you can, you have to be present and definitely have a good time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So would you be able to tell me a little bit about the venue that we're in right now?
Sure.
What exactly do you do in this space?
So we own this building. We are a corporation, Lost in Chico, and we have 2 DBAs, which is doing business as. One is Lost on Main upstairs, that's the music venue, and then we have the Down Low, which is our pub grub and our pool hall, and we do sports TV and things like that. We also do karaoke and jazz nights and open mic nights. So there's a lot going on. Down Low is open 7 days a week, whereas up at Lost we're only open when there are shows. And it's totally 2 different vibes of business, really. Yeah.
Good stuff. And if you haven't checked it out, I just got a tour of the place, and it's pretty cool. So if you haven't been, you gotta go.
I like to think I'm quite the tastemaker.
Speaking of you being a tastemaker, tell me a bit about what's going on behind me.
This is my own private office. It's not really open to the public. And before I got involved, my background is that I was a vice president for a healthcare technology company, and so I traveled every single week almost, going across to the East Coast and back. So I would just come back to Chico on the weekends, and I needed to decompress and start planning for the week ahead of me. So I would come in here, and I one by one I put these beads up into this mural.
One by one.
It was very cathartic. I got a lot of thinking done.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
My boyfriend says I was very tenacious in the fact that I finished it.
Yeah, I know. The first thing I noticed when I walked in the room was, oh my goodness, who took the time to do this?
One by one, I burned my fingertips quite a bit, but
glue gun.
Perseverance.
Yeah. How did you get to be where you are? Could you give me a little bit background on what steps it took you? What kind of were some big obstacles for you that led you to where you are?
Sure. So what I do currently was totally unplanned, and that's the beauty about life, is that it will present you with opportunities, and those opportunities become what you make them. I really believe that, and so I feel like today so many people try to go from graduating high school or college into the top dog spot when there was years and years of hard work and perseverance and being dead tired and feeling like I couldn't do it anymore. But I had strong people in my life, strong women, and strong family support. They encouraged me to go to school. They encouraged me to be the best I could. And so, as I mentioned, I was a vice president for a healthcare technology company, and I would go in and I would sell multi-million-dollar accounts. It was software, but it wasn't, here's a disk and you're off and running. It was implementation-wide reorganization of the whole businesses, and I worked with like the insurance companies, managed care organizations, and I would walk into any given presentation, and I know I wasn't, by far, and school-wise, I wasn't the smartest person, but I knew what I was talking about, and I felt good and solid about that, and I could bring together the right team, and so I was pretty successful in selling some very large accounts all across the country, and the obstacles in that business were I was the youngest in my field, and I continuously had to prove myself. Not only that, but I was also female. In today's era of #MeToo, there was just certain things that were said by men that were not appropriate, and you either choose to look the other way or deal with it. And as best I could, I dealt with it, maybe not directly head on, but through women that I trusted within companies. But surprisingly, one of the bigger challenges I had was with women. Women that were a little older than me, maybe not as ambitious or had been as ambitious at one time, and I think they to some degree resented me. I would go home some days and I would cry to myself, you know, and I never let anybody see that, but it just gave me more gumption to try harder and prove to them I knew what I was talking about, and I became number one in my book, and then sales number wise. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Go get them.
Thank you.
So what are your thoughts on, I know that a lot of, well, we're trying to change the dynamic of women seeing other women as competition.
Oh yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Have you had to experience that in this realm at all with other venues?
So in terms of competition, I'm a firm believer that women should empower other women, and we should not see each other as competition. Easier said than done, but when it takes a good hard look inside oneself to identify the feelings you're having to make you have the actions. And what I mean by that is you know, like, you're a beautiful woman. If I were to start thinking about like, I don't know, I can't even picture you in competition right now, but not in a bad, I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah.
But when you're starting to view another woman as competitive or having that, you know, kind of B-word, bitchy attitude, stop and think, why? Why are you feeling like that? Are you jealous? Are you intimidated? Are you scared? You know, like, there's got to be some reason inside. And a lot of times the reason why you don't like somebody is because you recognize in them your weaknesses. So I guess competition is still very rampant, and I don't think there's any place for it. I routinely walk down the street day or night, and if I see something that stands out, or maybe it doesn't even stand out, I'll always make a point to say to her, I love your dress. Your hair looks great. I mean, those are superficial things, but you know, it gives a kick in the step.
Yeah.
You know, those are not the most important things. Certainly if I'm working with somebody I respect and I love the job that they've done, I will also comment on that too. Mm-hmm. Or their brain, you know, their brains.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, because honestly I feel so like cliche when I say that. Like, it's not about you, it's something that there's fun with them. It sounds like so cliche to me, but it's true. It really is. You have to sit back and think, why am I jealous of this person or insecure about them or feel that they're a competition? Why? What's missing in me that I feel like I need to compete with you? And
you know, all the more reason to become friends with that person.
Exactly.
You know, strength in numbers.
Join forces.
Right. I mean, if you're feeling jealous, well, maybe she's got something admirable about her. So be friends and learn about it.
Yeah.
You know, learn from her.
I definitely agree. It's stronger women working with each other rather than against each other.
Yeah.
We can get so much farther.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I definitely think compliments go a big way too.
Yeah.
Because, or a long way rather.
As long as they're not superficial.
Exactly. Like something you
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you've seen Mean Girls, but she's like, oh, I love her skirt. And she's like, oh, that's the
I love
ugliest
it's your
skirt.
I love your bracelet.
That's the ugliest bracelet I've ever seen.
I know.
Exactly. So when it's definitely genuine, you notice something.
I love that movie.
We have to build each other up and not tear each other down.
It does no good at all. And in fact, the fact that there's, you know, biochemistry speaking, you know, yes, men and women are different, but just like with any race, why does it, we're all humans. And I hope we can get to that point someday where there is equality, whether it's a race or gender.
Definitely.
This sounds very Pollyanna-ish, but
let's all get along.
right?
No, but really, it's important to do.
Yeah.
So if you could give advice to younger girls who kind of are going out into the world, and I know that a lot of industries are male dominated.
Still to this day.
Yeah, and they're hard to break into. And I know, I mean, there are a lot that are female dominated, but more so it's a lot difficult to be in a man's world trying to make your way or even being taken seriously. What are some key advice that you could kind of give to just help get through that?
Well, I think actually we should take a step back and whatever industry you're trying to break into, you have knowledge is power, and I'm a big proponent for education, whether it's completing high school and a GED, or if it's going the 2-year, you know, associate bachelor's degree, or a bachelor from a 4-year institution. Never stop learning, and it can certainly give women the edge competitively when going for a job. Again, it doesn't matter what industry. And so, you know, I just think it comes down to, it's not necessarily jobs, I mean, it's certainly job skills, especially if you're going into a trade, but the core, being able to be a good communicator is extremely important, not only orally, but written. Today with texting and emails and everybody's in such a mad rush, grammar is one of the easiest ways we can be polite and respectful to somebody, and it goes so overlooked. So I think having great communication skills, it will be a differentiator across the board, especially as the younger people come into these types of jobs. Being present, I think that is the greatest present you can give anybody, is your presence. Too many people are sitting here talking, thinking about what they're going to say next or what they just said. Just focus on the interaction and give of yourself, time-wise and presence. Yeah.
How important do you think it is to stay true to yourself?
100%. If you're not your biggest advocate, why should anybody else be? And I don't mean, because words are words, and I can be anything for 15 minutes, truly. But over the long haul, you have to be true to yourself.
Who's Karen's biggest fan?
Well, probably my dog, or my boyfriend, or my mom, and not necessarily in that order.
I love it. I love it.
And my dad too. I have a great family.
That's great. And the support systems are really important too.
Yes, they are. I went to various internships, and I got so fortunate enough to be paired with or come to meet really strong women all the way in college, even before that. I remember my first mentor was probably in 3rd grade. I don't think I realized it at the time, but looking back, sure. Yeah. And I was always involved in sports, be it cheerleading or tennis or swimming. I did tap, jazz, ballet. So I still love to dance. Being active and healthy gives you a healthy mind.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it also gives you confidence from being a part of either individual or team sports. That's a very key lesson too. My parents gave me very busy.
Oh yeah.
Idle hands are devil's play.
Yes, it's good. Stay busy, be productive.
Yeah, actually some of the busiest people I know, some of the most successful people I know are A, the most frugal with their dollar, and B, the busiest. I mean, they are just their whole day is tracked full of things.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What did this 3rd grade mentor do? You didn't even explain what exactly that did. You didn't realize. Now I'm curious.
Well, she was a black female, and this was in the 70s in a very white neighborhood. And I mean, I didn't see her as being black, but I learned some, again, I can't really point to a specific thing, but the takeaway was I learned about anti-racism. I learned to see people as people and not based on their color or their gender. She was just a very strong figurehead.
That's awesome.
And it was also through her, we had a poetry teacher from the local community college come in, and we all got to sit down and write poems, and a couple of mine were chosen to be read at this junior college, and so it had not been for her. Yeah.
That's super rad.
Yeah.
So we kind of never really know who's looking up to us and when.
You never
big of
do.
an impact. So do you think that says anything about, did you know that you would wind up here on the show, that I'm looking up to you now, you know what I mean?
No. Thank you.
Do you think that as our character, that says something for...
I always think that you should pretend as if nobody's watching, but act as if everyone is watching. Because you never know how, I've gone back to high school reunions or just different places in life, and one of my friends from high school said, I always knew you would do great things. And she went, and I don't know how this relates to that, but she said, Karen taught me some of the best advice. I still hear it over and over in my head. And I'm thinking, what could I have possibly said in high school? Yeah. High school of all things. And it was when she was, making that decision to be serious with her boyfriend, intimately or not. And I said to her, why not save yourself? You only cross that once. You can never take that special moment back. Or I'm sure it wasn't that.
Something to that effect.
Yeah, something like that. And it was just really cool to hear her play that back to me so many years. Yeah. You never know who's watching. My next door neighbor, I have the greatest neighbors, and she had one of her high school friends and her daughters come to visit, and this girl was, don't know, 10 or 11, kind of somewhat heading maybe down the wrong path. And that whole summer, she was there for weeks. Well, she was actually there for almost 2 months. And we have a creek in our backyard, so we do a lot of outdoor sports and swimming, and we go tubing down the backyard. And I spent a lot of time with her. And when she left, I took the time to write her a letter. And her mom says that, you know what, it's been like 6 years. She has, to this day, she has that letter with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome, and that's such a small gesture, I feel like, too.
Absolutely. It is the details in life. Never sweat the small stuff, right?
Yeah.
But do pay attention to the details.
All the details.
Like all of the details.
All the details. Like I said, when she was giving me the tour of the place, I noticed all the details, and that's big.
It is.
And as small as they may seem, just the actions that we take in life, as small as they may seem for other people, it actually makes such a big impact.
You never know what impact you can have, negatively or positively. And I also feel like people underestimate the value of the importance of words. Choose your words carefully, especially when it's in print. Especially. But words have specific meanings, and how you speak to somebody can either heighten them or break them down, and nobody should have that power. You should use it for the positive.
Sweet. I think that we got some great knowledge out of you, some great words. I know that I'm going to walk away from this thinking about a lot of those little smaller things, and I think that's awesome that we can share that with the viewers right now.
I have 2 things that I live by.
Yes.
Be careful of the toes you step on today, as they may be attached to the ass you have to kiss tomorrow.
Ooh.
And 2, be good or be good at it.
That's great, and I think we can leave it on that note. Karen, thank you so much for taking us into your
Very nice
space.
meal. Yeah.
Loving the details. You are just awesome.
You've been conched.
Oh, yay, I like it. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Hi Sue, this is Karen over at Lost, and I am calling in specifically for Sue Reed. I wanted to talk to you about this interview that I just did with these lovely women, and it's all about mentoring young women, and I thought you would be a great candidate. So I love you, lady. Bye-bye.